So I'm going to tell you all a secret, and I'm going to do this because I don't really yet. I'm getting there, but we're still learning how to do these Zoom sermons. And what I do know how to do is a sermon with all of you in the room with me. And here's what I do. During our meditation, right before my sermon on Sunday mornings, I take a deep breath, and what I do is I send out love to all of you through my heart chakra, to all of you in this room. And when I'm so filled with love, then I can't be afraid that maybe I don't know what to say. And so for one silent moment, I put all of my energy into sending out love to all of you. And then I'm ready to stand up here and talk, because I understand that ministry really isn't about the words anyways. Ministry is about presence and holding space. And so sometimes on Sunday mornings, I focus on the light I'm sending because I'm not always sure about the words. And it works for me because I know you. And I can look out, and there is no place that I would rather be on Sunday mornings than with all of the people I love and my spiritual family. And so this 20 minutes is when I stand up here at this podium, and it's my favorite part of the week. Being right here in this sanctuary, in this beautiful space with all of you. And today, for the second week, I'm talking into a computer screen. And I guess the exciting thing and kind of terrifying thing is that this is being recorded and will be posted on Facebook, and more people will see me up here. And so it's different. And if you have never entered into our sacred space in person at 536 U Ray and are joining us virtually today for the first time, or even watching at a later time, we welcome you here. And I am so glad you're joining us. And I already miss all of you, even though we haven't met yet. So welcome to this new, hopefully short-term reality. I talk all the time about the need for us in this time and space to be real and authentic. And so there's always this balance between taking in what is really happening in the world and not getting sucked into the fear and the anger and the helplessness. And so there's also a need to find humor and laugh at ourselves in this situation, because laughter is connection, and connection keeps us sane. And so when you see people using humor to deal with this crazy world we are in, allow yourself to pause and smile, because the next post or article or phone call very well might bring us right back to the reality that is in our faces, a reality of some fear and uncertainty. Tomorrow, District 51 goes back to school, kind of. It will be a virtual homeschool learning environment for all of our children. The teachers are on a learning curve. The kids are on a learning curve. I certainly know as a parent, I'm on a learning curve. But here is one question I want us to think about. Is it important that our kids learn algebra right now? And I have to say, I don't know. I haven't understood how to help Danny with her math ever, because the way they learn it and the way I learned it are not the same. And a few years ago, I noticed that Danny wouldn't bring her homework home. And when I asked her why, she said, because you don't know what you're doing, and Daddy doesn't know what he's doing, and then you just end up yelling at each other, and it's really annoying. And she's right. Homework time, especially the math, usually consists of me and Cameron yelling at each other and looking at Danny blankly when she would start writing out the equation the way that she was taught. And so we were already struggling with this before 2 weeks ago when we were told that we were going to become professional homeschoolers with about 2 weeks' notice. So I'm sure that the Jones household is not the only household who is a bit unprepared for online school to begin tomorrow. But here's the deal. Who cares? And I may come to regret this statement, seeing how this sermon is being recorded for perpetuity. But at this time and in this place, I really could care less about teaching Danny how to do core math. I think we need to take a look at what our kids are learning right now. What is it that we are really actually teaching our children? Is it that how to do math 15 minutes a day? Or is it that they're learning that one hug to their grandparents might kill their grandparents? That every person around them could potentially transmit a life-threatening illness to somebody they love? That one day you're here and the next day you're in the hospital on a ventilator? That touching one thing without a glove could make your whole family sick? Our children are not blind. They are living this experience too. And we have to be mindful of what it is they are actually taking in right now. I remember a few years ago when we were doing Relay for Life, and for those of you that don't know, that's a big cancer walk that we do in Grand Junction every year. And along the paths, they've always had these big orange buckets with sand in them, and that is to fill the luminary bags that we fill with candles that light the path when we do our luminary walk. And it's really quite beautiful in the dark with all of these candles. And Danny, she was about, well, let's see, she would have been like 6 or 7, and we were walking, and she said, "Mommy, I'm glad you didn't die because I wouldn't want you to be in one of those buckets." And I just looked at her and I realized my little 6-year-old Danny thought those orange buckets were filled with the ashes of people who had died of cancer. I thought doing Relay for Life with her was teaching her about community and connection. She thought I was going to end up in one of those orange buckets. We don't always know what these kids are thinking. Last week I was talking to Nathaniel about how sad it would be if you are a senior in high school right now, missing out on the joy of prom and their senior year and graduation. And without missing a beat, he said, well, at least they get to be done 3 months earlier without worrying about if they're going to be shot in school every day. That is the worldview that my 14-year-old has. Well, at least they don't have to worry about being shot 3 months earlier. Can we think about that for a moment? We want to get back to normal. But what is normal for our kids right now? And is it possible that maybe the normal for them really isn't that great? We want to get back to something. But what is this something worth getting back to? Or maybe instead, do we want to take this time to think about what it is we want to create anew? Sometimes talking with my children makes me wonder if for many of us we have been living in an alternate reality. Because the reality I'm wanting to get back to apparently isn't the same reality my kids are experiencing. And so maybe now is our opportunity to take a collective deep breath and say, let's be honest. Some of this isn't working and hasn't been working for a long time. Maybe some of the normal we want to get back to is worth releasing forever. How many of us have been hiding behind our busy lives, and we didn't even realize how much we were hiding from until we were put, in essence, in our houses and asked not to leave for a few weeks at a time, and we are coming face to face with all of that stuff that we were able to ignore in our busyness. Is this why self-isolation some of us are finding so difficult? Because maybe there's no way to hide behind our busyness anymore? Because maybe now we need to start facing some things that we have been refusing to look at? My friend Susan, who is a chaplain at St. Mary's, posted this on her Facebook page on Friday. She gave me permission to share, and she wrote, quote, "There is a quote that goes something like this: I sat with my anger long enough until I realized it was grief. I think that is what many are feeling right now. I know it's what I'm feeling. I've been feeling more anger towards people, and I realize it's mostly all grief. I grieve because the world isn't the way I'd like it to be. I grieve because of all of the privilege I see in our country. I grieve because of the selfishness that I'm seeing. I grieve because I understand that my friends working in the medical field are being exposed to COVID, but they continue to work because it is their calling. I grieve because people are dying. I grieve because relationships are changing. I grieve because many people are experiencing financial hardship. I grieve because there are no easy answers, and it does not help to point fingers at leaders right now. There are so many more things about which I grieve. The best I can do for now is acknowledge my grief and recognize that others are grieving too. I am sincerely sorry when my behavior has been poor towards you. This is mostly my family and my work family. I will try to do better. And I'll try to help you wherever you are in your process of grief. Much love and light to you." So what is really going on with us? Maybe now is the time and our opportunity to peek inside and see what it is that we are really hiding from. Is our anger simply unacknowledged grief? Is our hoarding undisciplined fear? I have been saying for a long time that something big is happening, and I've been talking about the need for us to prepare for it. And here it is. Is this what we've been preparing for? Are we ready? I don't know. I do talk to myself a lot, and I don't know definitely who or what it is that I talk to, but I talk a lot. And if you ask me who I'm talking to, I would say I would call them my angels or my spirit guides or my higher self. It's the recipient of my words is something outside of me and yet deeply connected to me. If you ask my children who I'm talking to, they would just say I'm rambling to myself a lot. I remember a few years ago, I was just going about my business. I didn't even realize I was talking. And all of a sudden, Danny yelled from the other room. She yelled, "Mommy, talk to somebody you can actually see." So there we go. But I talk. And when I stop to listen, a lot of times I get answers. And so this week you can imagine that I have been talking a lot, asking a lot of questions. What in the world is going on? How do we make sense of all of this? Will everything be okay? Will we get back to normal? What is normal? Is this some cosmic joke? Are we overreacting? Are we underreacting? Is this going to hit the Grand Valley? Will people I know and care about be affected? And if so, will they all be okay? So many questions. And then I think, how do I support the people I care about when I can't be with them? How do I do ministry from afar? What in the world do I say about this, and how do I say it into a computer screen? So those were the questions going through my head last night. When I really need to get the answers, I actually start typing. And so last night, I typed out all of these questions, and the last question I typed out was, what if I have no words tomorrow? And the answer that came right back was, then you will have light. And I realized that that one little phrase was the answer to every question I had just posed and everything I have talked about this morning. There is light around us. There is light around each and every one of us right now. We don't all have the answers. We are living with a lot of uncertainty and fear. And I know in my heart, there is also light. I know this isn't necessarily UU theology that I'm sharing right now. This is kind of Wendy speak. But Wendy started this journey of awakening about 7 years ago, and every ounce of my inner knowing is telling me that there is light. And we can tap into it, and we can be light for others. And so I just want to close today with these words of hope that it really is going to be okay. And things are happening on a level of reality that many of us can't see, and some of us are just waking up to. And my invitation for you all is to begin to trust that maybe, just maybe, there really is something more out there that we just can't yet grasp. And maybe, just maybe, it's all going to be okay. And until we know this for ourselves, we will have each other, and we can practice being the light for each other. And so in that vein, let us now attempt to sing quietly together, "Come Sing a Song with Me."